Happy Dr. King Day to everyone. So we're going to get started with the program, and I'm going to ask that Timothy Brown come forward to lead us in the rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. If you could all rise, please.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
You may be seated. Y'all sounded good out there. I don't know if Tim was expecting that. Y'all just jumped right in there. Well, thank you for joining us for the 23rd Annual Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award celebration. I'm Omar Brownell, Director of the Center for Multicultural Initiatives. And we're here, of course, to celebrate Dr. King and his undying dream of equality and interracial understanding. Though he is no longer with us, Dr. King imparted his dream upon a vast and growing group of supporters across the globe. Here at Oakland University, we are deeply committed to building and honoring a culturally diverse campus. We are dedicated to engaging students, faculty, and staff of all heritages and walks of life in activities and interactions that support their efforts to attain a high level of academic and social success. For 22 years now, we have recognized students who have demonstrated strong leadership in breaking down cultural stereotypes and to foster a broader understanding of the various cultures in our community, in our nation, and our world. We honor their work in promoting interracial understanding and collaboration by awarding them the Keeper of the Dream Scholarship. We are pleased to be able to once again recognize such incredible young people. Thanks to the committed support of the surrounding community and our sponsors who provide scholarships to Oakland University students, we are helping to prepare a new generation of exceptional leaders. On a daily basis, these students make positive impacts in many areas in this campus and the surrounding community. We will now ask Oakland University President George Hine to share a few remarks. President Hine.
This is truly an extraordinary day. Thank you, Omar, for all the leadership that you're providing, and certainly those of your staff. I would like to also welcome you to this afternoon's celebration and thank you for helping to keep Dr. King's dream alive more than 40 years after he first revealed it. I think one insight Dr. King shared is particularly relevant in today's celebration. He said, and I quote, "Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. The tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals." I think that is really what this dream is about. It is about being vigilant and moving forward in ways that honor his vision. Today we will hear the stories of 5 Oakland University students who have demonstrated the tireless exertion and passionate concern Dr. King spoke of. In hearing them, I am confident that all of us here will be convinced that these young men and women are doing far more than is expected of them, and without the expectation on their part of any reward greater than knowing that they are helping to nurture a more diverse and inclusive environment both here on campus and in our community. Before we meet these young people, however, I would like to acknowledge our sponsors for their ongoing support of the Keeper of the Dream Awards. Thank you to our named scholarship sponsors, Autoliv Americas, Beaumont Health Systems, L&L McIntosh Scholarship, the Oakland University Alumni Association, and the Oakland University Credit Union. Thank you also to our university and Unity sponsors, AAA of Michigan and Avis Ford. Please join me in recognizing these friends of the university who are making a lasting difference here at our campus at Oakland University. I would also like to acknowledge some special guests in our audience, most notably today, Oakland University trustee Rick Flynn. Rick? We also have a number of distinguished local, state, and federal elected officials with us today. Will you please stand and be recognized as well? I know Tom is here someplace. There we go. Tom, there you are. Thank you. Thank you all for taking part in this celebration this afternoon. I would now like to have Omar return to the podium to get our award presentations underway.
Thank you, President Hine. It is my pleasure to begin the presentations of the Oakland University 2015 Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Awards to our 5 remarkable students. But before I do so, I would like to ask that all of the former KOD recipients who are present with us today to stand and be recognized. Thank you all for keeping the dream alive. Now to recognize our current recipients, we will begin with the Beaumont Health Systems Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award, presented to Joseph Kerma. With an abiding interest in breaking down racial and ethnic barriers, Joseph Kerma remembers his experience in the Future Physicians Program at Oakland University, William Beaumont School of Medicine, as the one that opened his eyes to health disparities among various ethnic groups. In fact, the experience inspired him to study biomedical science and to take a leading role in promoting diversity in healthcare. Since that time, he has served as student program coordinator for the OUWB Diversity and Inclusion Office and also worked with Dr. Florence Dallow on research examining the prevalence of heart disease, cancer, stroke, and other leading diseases causes of death among various ethnic groups. Joy also founded the Organization of Diversity Health, a student group that promotes cultural understanding among all groups of people. It is worth noting that the group's pre-medical students of color luncheon received the Oakland University Diversity Multicultural Program Award from the Oakland Center of Student Activities. Joy has said, "As one who embraces diversity, I hope to continue impacting students and their understanding of multiculturalism so that they can find the beauty and strength in diversity." Beyond this work, Joseph is the founder of the the Medical Association of Chaldean Students, president of Students Against Destructive Decisions, and the vice president of Alpha Lambda Delta. Let's listen to Joy's thoughts and reactions on receiving this award.
Winning the Keeper of the Dream Award means having the ability and courage to break down racial and cultural stereotypes and promote unity among those at Oakland University to create a rich environment in diversity. It means being a leader that not only embraces diversity, but celebrates it as well. One of my most significant campus activities would be founding and being president of my own organization, ODH, the Organization of Diversity in Health. Through ODH, I've been able to host luncheons that expose students to diverse individuals that have been successful in the health field, begin the Stop Bullying campaign on campus, and creating volunteer opportunities for students that expose them to many different groups of people. My family has played a tremendous role in where I am today. My parents, both immigrants from Iraq, always stressed the importance of education, although they themselves were not able to attend college. I learned to develop my communication skills from my dad, who can make friends with anyone he meets, and taught me a golden rule that it only takes a few kind words. I inherited my mom's compassionate yet bold nature. She taught me to always help those in need and to never give up. My two oldest sisters, Heather and Mary, both who have already graduated from college, have taught me to take risks, pave my own path, to be reflective and creative, as well as hold a high esteem for community service. And I can't forget my little sister, a future Golden Grizzly, who always sees the positive in every situation. Thank you all for shaping me into the curious, caring, and open-minded person that I am today. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision and faith are most definitely relevant today. Although I wish I could say discrimination does not exist today, it sadly does. However, we will continue to use his passion and dream to address these issues. We must all take it upon ourselves to make sure we aim to end prejudice and stereotypes. My involvement as president of the Organization of Diversity in Health, president of the Medical Association of Chaldean Students, vice president of Alpha Lambda Delta Honor Society, Leadership OU, being a teacher's assistant for Human Anatomy Lab, working under the guidance of Dr. Nikitin, Dr. Karen Reed-Hendon, and Kimberly Martin in Diversity and Inclusion at the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, planning events for the School of Health Sciences with Michelle Southward, and conducting research with Dr. Florence Dallow in health sciences over health disparities in minorities, have all contributed to my personal development at Oakland. Thank you, Beaumont Health Systems, so much for making this scholarship possible and honoring me as a keeper of the dream. Your strong commitment to creating a culture rich in diversity will help many generations, and I promise to continue and further your mission. And
thanking Joseph Kerma for receiving the Keeper of the Dream Beaumont Health Systems Award. Can we turn the lights on, please? Thank you, Joseph. And now for the Oakland University Credit Union Keeper of the Dream Scholarship, Zainab Faz. As an Arab American and Muslim woman, OU student Zainab Faz rejects social stereotypes. She knows that human character is not defined solely by gender, religion, or ethnicity, and that even these traits do not dictate uniformity of belief, speech, and behavior among all people within various social demographics. Driven by the great value she places in diverse communities, this sophomore social work major is affiliated with OU's Muslim Student Association, Lebanese Student Association, African Student Association, and the Department of Pre-College Programs. Zainab is also president of the Muslim Youth of North America, Franklin, Michigan chapter, and a counselor at the Unity Center in Bloomfield Hills, where she mentors elementary school and high school age youth. Here on campus, Zainab strives to make diversity an open and comfortable topic of discussion. One of her instructors, Basma El-Bathi, said, in a way unique to her, she allowed non-Muslims in our small class to feel comfortable at expressing their views, questions, and positions without fear of offending her, in part because she has become friends with almost all of them. Here's Zainab explaining what the Keeper of the Dream means to her.
The title I have the honor of holding as Keeper of the Dream is not only a privilege, but a responsibility to begin change in my community. I will be a reminder to honor the past and Dr. King's dream and build a pathway to an optimistic future of less barriers and more acceptance. When I was hired to work with pre-college programs, I was introduced to the graduate assistant, Kendra Agee. It was solely through her words that I was intrigued by such a vibrant soul. Kendra's confidence to share her beliefs no matter what setting, vividness and spirit around the kids we worked with, and patience to take in my philosophies never failed to astonish me. Kendra has continuously been my backbone to fall on when I am in need of guidance and encouragement. I couldn't be more thankful to have met and continue to work with her. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s faith is still alive in the community of youth today. Although we as a nation have not completely overcome the inability to see past skin color and into one's intellectual beauty, I do have hope that if we continue to see through the eyes of Dr. King and fight with his passion, we will be able to overcome all prejudice and stereotypical mindsets. One of my most rewarding experiences at Oakland University has been working with students that pre-college programs has introduced me to. Through listening to each of their views, I realized how mature and pulsating their outlooks on life were, which is exactly what we, as hardworking, fast-paced adults, need to be reminded. Joining the African Student Association was a decision I knew would spark questions. Simply being different from the group of students in the room initiated conversation and brought me in contact with greater knowledge of a culture other than my own and a gateway towards breaking down barriers. I found myself more and more open to learning about others, comparing my background to theirs. Despite my assumptions, their practices and values ended up being very similar to my own. It is the very act of assuming someone is different that can drive people in opposite directions. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Oakland University Credit Union for making this scholarship possible. With your generous support, I am now able to successfully continue fulfilling my undergraduate education and promote racial understanding at Oakland University. Again, thank you so much for your support.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to present Zainab Fobbs with the Oakland University Credit Union Scholarship Award. Next, we will present the Oakland University Alumni Association Keeper of the Dream Scholarship to Chanel Daniels. The many cultures that converge in Chanel Daniels' ethnic background, as well as the life experiences tied to challenges broader communities have embracing diversity, have given her a sense of purpose and fuel her life's works. Chanel said, "As a Bengali, Iraqi, Caucasian, African American, and Native American woman, I have been exposed to certain prejudices and stereotypes that have existed for decades. However, my upbringing has given me the desire and opportunity to inspire others not to be constricted by societal limitations." While pursuing the degree in history and secondary teaching certificate, Chanel works as a peer mentor in the Center for Multicultural Initiatives, as a student mentor in the Department of Pre-College Programs, and as secretary for the Student Veterans of Oakland University. Off campus, she is a member of the Air National Guard in the U.S. Air Force. In all these roles, she strives. She strives to break stereotypes and encourages acquaintances not to accept rash and uninformed judgments about others. Jean Ann Miller, OU's director of the Center for Multicultural Initiatives and Leadership Development, says Chanel passionately lives and breathes the concept that being involved and being of service is impactful, and that she can and will make a difference in the lives of others, as well as locally and globally once she has graduated from Oakland University. Now here's Chanel in her own words.
Receiving the Keeper of the Dream Award is the culmination of my efforts from childhood on to encourage interracial unity and an anti-stereotype, empathetic state of mind. Above all, the Keeper of the Dream Award emphasizes the real value in and need for encouraging interracial understanding. This makes it mean more to me than words could articulate. The most significant campus activity that has opened the door to breaking down cultural stereotypes and promoting racial understanding is my involvement with the veteran community on campus. This experience has introduced me to vastly different people in a community where breaking down stereotypes and encouraging interracial understanding is not necessarily emphasized, making my involvement with such a community all the more vital. The mentor that has played the most dynamic role in influencing the person I am striving to become is my mother, Sheila Lipe. Without her, I would not be here. Thanks, Mom. I love you. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision, passion, and faith are immensely relevant today. Topics of race relations are commonly restrained or patronized today in a culture attempting to function as a colorblind society while being blind to current issues due to inequalities mandated by color. It is important to remember Dr. King's message, for our vision has to be pursuant, to have a voice for justice and equality in a peaceful and collaborative fashion, to comprehend and respect the positive differences all of us bring. One of my most rewarding experiences at Oakland University has been becoming a Center for Multicultural Initiatives peer mentor. I'm able to participate in work that I have a passion for and work with an amazing, diverse group of people. I'm able to help fellow students as they impact me for the better. I would like to thank the Oakland University Alumni Association for making it possible for me to receive such a tremendous award. Making such an award possible means everything and demonstrates that caring for our fellow man and pursuing Dr. King's vision is supported and needs to continue. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my vision and continue to make a positive impact at Oakland University.
We are pleased to present Chanel Daniels with the Oakland University Alumni Association Keeper of the Dream. We will now present the L&L McIntosh Scholarship to Akori Kowar. Always seeking interactions that provide opportunities to set positive examples for others. Akori is president of OU's chapter of the National Panhellenic Council and president of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. The Pontiac native and electrical engineering major is also a mentor in the Department of Pre-College Programs and an apartment resident assistant for the university housing and a former peer mentor in the Center for Multicultural Initiatives. Tiffany Elliott, assistant director of pre-college programs, said, his ability to create inclusive environment among both our students and staff that we service is both imperative and impressive to the work that we do. Akori's biracial background and upbringing have empowered him to improve relations among people of different cultures. At OU, he acts as on his conviction that consistently treating all people with dignity and respect will lead to greater understanding and a more cohesive community. Let's hear Akori in his own words.
The Keeper of the Dream Award represents one of those many helpful hands that we have in our lives, that without them we would not be able to make the progress we make. It also represents faith in an individual, a group of people that have seen something in me and have faith that I will use this award to assist me in being a beacon and living out Dr. King's dream. My fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, has provided me with an amazing platform to be able to break down stereotypes. I come into contact with and serve so many people from so many cultures and so many different backgrounds that it puts me in prime position to break down many of the barriers we as a community run into. I can't pick out one particular person, but I would definitely say that there is a group of people that I was born with and that I have surrounded myself with that continue to teach me new things every day. Without these people I speak of, including my grandmothers, Derek Wins and Ransom C., my high school mentors, Tiffany Elliott and my pre-college family, and a multitude of others, I would still be the boy with closed-minded thoughts and immature tendencies. For them, I am grateful. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision, passion, and faith continue to be relevant today. Though I feel as if a lot of the issues we have faced have changed and evolved, Dr. King's goal and qualities are still exuded in a lot of the initiatives we have to promote racial understanding today. If you listen to his speeches or read about his vision, he was wise well beyond his years, and the message he was trying to relay still comes out in the messages from our leaders today. His vision is even becoming a reality in many ways, one being America has seen the first black president in history. Now, we still have many uphill battles, but I feel that Dr. King has provided us a solid foundation to fight and win those battles. I have had a wonderful opportunity to serve in many facets of Oakland University, including pre-college programs, the Center for Multicultural Initiatives, and university housing. In these positions, I have been able to mentor a lot of students with a similar background to myself, but I've also been able to serve a plethora of students from all over the world. In serving these students, I had to break away from the narrow mindsets that were developed growing up in Pontiac. I had to learn to be an advocate for diversity and inclusion and not a bystander. I have grown in so many ways here at Oakland University that I would not have done elsewhere. I would like to sincerely thank Ellen L. McIntosh for making the Keeper of the Dream Award possible. This is going to benefit me greatly, and I intend to continue to be a great student and an advocate for promoting racial understanding. Again, I want to thank you for your generosity and allowing me this award to help with my undergraduate endeavors. Thank you.
Pleased to present Corey Coart with the 2015 Ellen L. Keeper of the Dream Scholarship. I'm not going to say anything. All right. Finally, we will present the Autoliv America's Keeper of the Dream Scholarship to Taylor Moore. Citing Dr. King as a significant role model and influence in her life, Taylor Moore aggressively seeks opportunity to create an environment of support and inclusion. Taylor is a nursing student and serves as Vice President of the National Black Nurses Association at Oakland University. In this capacity, she strives to promote recruitment and retention of underrepresented students, as well as to help Asiatic students gain access to quality health services. Taylor has also participated in Camp RN, a summer program that teaches middle school students about careers in the nursing profession. As a resident assistant for university housing, she has helped students from diverse backgrounds meet and get to know each other. OU resident director Hans Kavara says Taylor is adept at giving a voice to those who do not have courage or the ability to speak up for themselves. I think it is safe to say that Taylor does not let fear or trepidation stand in her way. Off campus, Taylor volunteers at Grace Centers of Hope and Gleaners Community Food Bank. Now here's a video in which Taylor explains what today's event means to her.
The Keeper of the Dream Award stands for progression in my life personally. At my high school, I was one of about 20 African American students. I was ashamed of being identified as the black girl at school until the end of my junior year, when I decided to be proud of my heritage. This scholarship shows me how much I have grown as a person, and that what I once thought was a small, meaningless voice can actually stand out and make a big difference in the community around me. Through my role as an RA, I am able to connect with different students and promote racial understanding through various floor and building programs. Also, as an African American female resident assistant, I am able to change different stereotypes about how others view African Americans. My great-grandmother has played a huge role in shaping me to be the outspoken person I am today. I was very young when my great-grandmother Marie passed away, but the legacy she left behind exceeds her lifetime, and through her hard work of fighting for equality, I have learned the smallest voices can have the biggest impacts. She taught me not to be afraid to let my voice be heard, and not to follow the pack, but to be the one who makes a difference. Dr. King's vision is one that I feel many of us still embody and desire for our future. Because of this, the passion and faith that he carried is still being displayed in different communities currently as the movement for equality continues. My most rewarding experience at Oakland would have to be getting accepted into our elite nursing program. It took a lot of hard work, but the feeling of opening that acceptance letter made every tear and frustration worth it. These are the opportunities that I know would not exist without the hard work, dedication, and struggles of others before me. Being a part of National Black Nurses Association has also helped me gain a better perspective about the world around me. We as an organization work on promoting health in minority communities. Through these experiences, I have gained a deeper understanding of other cultures, making me a better advocate for diversity. On behalf of my family and me, I would like to say thank you so much, Autoliv, for your investment in my future. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. It's your compassion that has allowed me to be able to sit among this group of other scholars and participate in this amazing experience. Your investment in my future will help me continue my journey through nursing school here at Oakland University and make a young woman's life goals and dreams come true. Once again, Thank you.
We are pleased to present Taylor Moore with the Auto Leave America's Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award. Congratulations to all of our scholarship recipients. Let's give them a round of applause. At this point in the program, I have the great privilege to introduce our keynote speaker. Journey Smollett Bell is an award-winning actress with a number of notable roles in her filmography. She has appeared on NBC's critically acclaimed series Parenthood, HBO's True Blood, Tyler Perry's 2013 film Temptation, NBC's Emmy award-winning series Friday Night Lights, CBS The Defenders, and the Golden Globe Best Picture nominated film The Great Debaters. For her work on the latter, Journey won the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Motion Picture. At the age of 11, she won the Broadcast Film Critics Award for Best Youth Performance in the film Eve's Bayou. With many other film and television appearances to her credit, Journey is an activist for social change and the youngest board member of the Artists for a New South Africa. This nonprofit organization works to combat HIV/AIDS, advance human rights, and educate and empower children orphaned by AIDS and otherwise at risk. Journey is certainly not new to this work, as she joined the ANSA at the age of 11. She has traveled to South Africa and met with Nelson Mandela, Archbishop Tutu, and Zaki Ahmed, as well as with people living with HIV/AIDS and children orphaned by the disease. In 2010, Journey completed a U.S. State Department mission to Botswana, Swaziland, and South Africa, where she conducted workshops with women and youth about activism, empowerment, and HIV/AIDS. She also recently joined the board of the Children's Defense Fund at the invitation of longtime mentor Marian Wright Edelman. I believe we would be hard-pressed to find someone more devoted to the benefits of embracing diversity and nurturing the joy of new opportunity. Please help me welcome Journey Smollett Bell.
Wow. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I feel so honored after that. Can I bring you everywhere with me, Omar? You could just introduce me before I have to get up and do things. It really is an honor for me to be here. Thank you, President Hine. Thank you, Omar, for having me. Illustrious alumni, faculty, and student body. I really am honored. I'm humbled to be here with you. Congratulations to the honorees, yes. Okori Coart, Chanel Daniels, Zainab Faz, Joseph Kerma, Taylor Moore. I am so proud of you all. Really, you bring me so much joy. Like my heart's just smiling right now. Because I look at you and you're so young, you know, you're like my little siblings. And, you know, for you at such a young age to understand the importance of service while still having amazing grades, I mean, it's amazing. Really, what you are doing is truly amazing. And so I just want to applaud you again. Everyone, just applaud them one more time. I mean, we live in a world that's so quick to stereotype us as young people. You know, they're so quick to define who we are. They're so quick to point out which R&B singer, which rapper, which athlete, you know, has violated their probation or beat up a woman. You know, and it's so rare that we as a society celebrate young people such as yourself. So I really, really, really celebrate you, and I applaud you. I stand here today as one of you. I mean, really, I want you to think of me as your big sister. I'm not in academia. I'm not a professor. I'm not a preacher, a philosopher. I mean, I'm an artist. I'm an activist. And at my core, I am one of you. I'm a young woman who struggles every day to be my best self. And despite my strong upbringing and my undying belief in myself, I too struggle to rid myself of self-doubt, ridicule, and judgment. See, I work in the business of rejection. It's called show business. And every day I'm told in one way or another that I'm not good enough. I'm told that there's always someone better for the job, right? And after the world tears me into 50 million pieces, I go home to my husband. I mean, he's real cute, so, you know. And we work to put myself back together again, and I go back out and battle the next day. And although I might live a few thousand miles away in that land called Los Angeles, I'm living in the same world as you. And although our experiences may vary in detail, you might be surprised to know that we share some of the same dreams and struggles. See, I was born in Queens, New York, the fourth of 6 children. I grew up in a large but loving family. The daughter of Janet and Joel Sr., I come from humble beginnings. My father was a blue-collar worker. I mean, he held over or almost 50 jobs in his lifetime. And growing up, we never had enough money. I mean, getting calls from bill collectors that were really clever, they would, you know, pretend they were friends of my parents. I'd answer the phone and they would be like, "Hey, girl, give me your mama. It's Marissa. Let me talk to Janet." And, you know, I fell for this a few times. Then I caught on that, oh, these are just bill collectors. Getting our electricity or our gas shut off, this was not foreign to us. And my father, Joel, a man of Russian Jewish descent, I mean, he was a typical New Yorker, you know. I mean, he grew up in a very diverse environment, so much so that it was totally normal for him to have members of the Black Panthers attend his bar mitzvah. I'm not kidding, literally. He would tell us stories about them having the yarmulkes on top of their big fros. I mean, they were hanging out there too. And at the age of 6, he attended the March on Washington with his mother. I mean, you see, my dad's parents were passionate fighters for equality and justice, so much so that my grandmother was blacklisted for being a member of the Jewish Communist Party. However, they were still stunned when my dad decided to marry my very black mother. You know, at the time, interracial marriage had only been legal in the United States for 10 years. And with roughly around 2% of all married people in the United States being in interracial marriages in the late 1970s, it was a rare thing that people would do. So even though it was okay for my dad's best friend to be black, it was okay for him to go to camp with black kids, it was even okay to have Black Panthers at his bar mitzvah, it was not okay for him to marry one. And this sadly put a wedge between my father and his parents, particularly him and his mother. Thus, my siblings and I grew up estranged from her. And I grew up not really knowing much about my grandmother, only hearing stories here and there about who she was, oftentimes painting a very conflicting picture of who she was. I mean, how could this passionate, liberal Jewish woman who was blacklisted and traveled from Washington, D.C. with her 2 young sons in 1963 to attend the March on Washington, how could she be a racist? I mean, this was one of the great mysteries of my childhood. Now, when my father met my mother, they were 2 hippies working with Angela Davis in the Young Workers League, which is just a nice name for the Young Communist Party. My mother, she's a New Orleans native. I mean, she's a mutt. She's everything. I think I might have you beat on how many different things we are. I like to say that I inherited my father's work ethic and my mother's artistic talent. My mom was obsessed, and still is obsessed, with old Hollywood. I mean, old Hollywood. These people are dead. I mean, you could not walk into our house without some old white person on our television, like in black and white, though. Joan Crawford, Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn. I mean, these were people I grew up with. They were almost like my uncles and aunts in my mind. Lena Horne, I mean, she was a goddess to me. And when Lena Horne sang through that stormy weather, I felt like she was singing for me. When Hattie McDaniel marched through the cold and windy MGM doors and won that Oscar for the Gone with the Wind, I felt like she was marching for me. When Dorothy Dandridge took that glorious dance on that yellow backdrop for Carmen Jones, I wanted to be like her. The fire that Josephine Baker danced with in her banana skirt, fierce, unapologetic, unaware that any of us were even watching. I wanted to dance like her. I wanted to have that freedom. When Ruby Deep played the rustic Ruth Younger in Raisin in the Sun, I could relate to the quiet storm, the frustration of a young woman who was fighting to keep her dreams from being deferred. I was captivated by them, by her raw truth and honesty, and I wanted to be them. I wanted to make someone feel how they were making me feel. I wanted to move someone the way they moved me. I mean, I still cry every single time I watch Meryl Streep have to make that agonizing choice in Sophie's Choice. That's one of my favorite films. I mean, these women inspired me to be an actress, to be an artist. And as an artist, I have the great fortune of being the vessel through which our stories are colorfully told. You know, I really have been truly fortunate. I've been working almost my entire life, literally. I've been working since I was 10 months old, literally. I started out modeling diapers, which is very prestigious. And then, I booked a few commercials when I was 3. I went to do some television. I was Michelle's best friend in Full House. I still crack up when people walk up to me on the street and they're like, "You Michelle's best friend." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I was 4. And on from that, I was blessed to be able to have a nice career in film and television. And I've been fortunate to work with some amazing people, some amazing directors, and learn while doing all of it. But it doesn't come without its challenges and sacrifices. And it truly is an uphill battle to change the minds of people. I mean, oftentimes I'm told by my agent when I'm trying to go after a role that I really want, I'm told, "Oh, they love you, but they're not willing to go ethnic on that role." Ethnic? It's a word I fight against all the time. And, I reject that. I don't believe that an audience will be unable to relate to the emotion on screen if it's truthful, simply because the person is of a different ethnicity. I reject that. And when I look around right now, I see a world that's more complex than black and white. To me, honest, raw human emotions cannot be categorized as either black or white. In actuality, true human emotion is more alive and honest when shown in vibrant colors, to me. In all its brilliant hues, shades, tones, textures, and shapes. In our visual medium, it is our job to hold a mirror up to society. And in my opinion, it is vital that the subtle hues and colors of our complex personalities are illuminated. But sadly, the majority of films produced today are male-driven films. And according to the New York Film Academy, from 2007 to 2012, only 31% of all speaking roles, not leads, but speaking roles in film were female. 31%. With less than 5% of all films released in 2013 starring a woman of color. I starred in one of them. To make matters worse, though, the top 500 grossing films of all time, only 5 of them had cast the protagonist as a woman of color. Now, protagonist is defined as the primary character in a film's primary storyline. Now, these 5 films are Pocahontas, Mulan, Lilo and Stitch, The Princess and the Frog, and Sister Act. Sister Act is the only film with actual people in it. So Mulan is doing better than I am. Now, if you look at film, what do you see? Women are often cast in subservient roles. the girlfriend, the wife, the best friend, the secretary. You see, my resume, while I'm proud of it, it isn't 50 pages long because I oftentimes have to say no to the projects I am offered because of my morals and values. I, in turn, though, am told no to the roles that I seek after, the ones in which they're unwilling to go ethnic on. And while my contemporaries and I, we have way more opportunity afforded to us than, say, a Lena Horne or Dorothy Dandridge. And while there's beautiful talents like Lupita Nyong'o, who won an Oscar for 12 Years a Slave, and we have TV shows like Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, now Empire. You know, these all star women of color. There's still a lot of work that has to be done. But fortunately, I'm the daughter of 2 activists. So I take this on as a challenge. And every time I am told no, it motivates me to prove these bastards wrong. See, I was raised with the bold and revolutionary spirit that we must be architects of our future, that no one is going to give you anything in life. You have to go out and get it, that you cannot expect the world to devote itself to making you happy. No, see, happiness is going to only come from within. Now, if I inherited my parents' sense of hard work and artistic spirit, I definitely inherited their passion for politics and community service. While I'm not a communist, neither are they anymore, the spirit of what they did was really prevalent growing up. I remember at the age of 5 standing outside on the street corner with my entire family. And we were holding these posters for Bill Clinton. And we were yelling, vote, vote. Now I'm 5 years old and I'm yelling, vote. I can't vote. Why was I standing on the street corner yelling for people to vote? Because my parents were these spirited activists. You know, my family would sit at the dinner table and passionately debate each other on whatever political issue of the day was. But there were rules. Everyone was supposed to have an opinion, and you were obligated to use your voice to express that opinion. I mean, we didn't always agree on everything, trust me. Oh my goodness, me and my oldest brother, Jojo, he can debate. But I learned a lot about the importance of everyone respecting each other's opinion, that no single person's experience should mute the next person's experience, that my rights ended where your rights began, and that you have to see life and try to understand it from the various perspectives of the people living it, and that at the end of the day, everyone really, we just all want to feel validated, and we just want to be heard. And I wanted to be heard. And I was going to make sure you heard me. So at the dinner table, I would shout real loud. I'd scream my argument. I mean, come on, there were 5 other kids you had to debate over. And I wanted to be heard. I mean, I was a little bit of a drama queen, but I was really, really passionate about my opinion. And for me, one of my main passions has always been HIV/AIDS. You see, I've never known a world in which HIV/AIDS didn't exist. And growing up, images of the virus were sewn into my memory. The colorful panels on the AIDS quilt, the shiny red ribbons that my mother would wear on World AIDS Day, the tragic death of Ryan White, Magic Johnson's press conference when he announced that he was HIV positive. I remember hearing my dad discuss whether or not he was going to still play for the Lakers or not. And what affected me most was the heartbreaking story of a little girl, not much older than myself, who was born HIV positive. And the doctors had told her she was not going to live past the age of 5. This young girl, Hydea Broadbent, boldly shared her story on daytime talk shows like Oprah and Murray. And I remember watching her with my mom. It hadn't dawned on me that little girls who looked like me were at risk. But as they say, nothing educates us like a shock. So initially, news of HIV/AIDS was in everyone's faces. You know, the late 80s, early 90s, it got everyone's attention. And over the years, despite ads, fundraisers, and more, our community, for some reason, has grown desensitized to the virus. But the virus continues to kill us silently. See, already, more than 25 million members of our human family have died from AIDS. That's the equivalent of the combined populations of New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Phoenix, Philadelphia, Dallas, Boston, Seattle, Memphis, Cleveland, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Miami, Denver, St. Louis, and Washington, D.C. combined. Combined, you guys. Today, over 30 million people worldwide are living with HIV/AIDS. Over 1 million people are living in the U.S. I personally think that number is low, but that's what we know. And over 500,000 of them are African Americans. Now, we make up a little over 12% of the country's population. That just doesn't seem right to me. HIV/AIDS is the leading cause of death among black women ages 25 to 34. Why aren't we talking about this? Now, it's one thing to read these statistics. It's another thing to know people with this disease. Haidia and I met when I was 13 years old and have since become best friends. HIV/AIDS is never far from my mind because she and another close friend of mine are living with the infection. They're both talented, intelligent, young African Americans who have never been sexually promiscuous, never used intravenous drugs. I mean, you would never know by looking at them that they had a potentially deadly virus lurking through their body, but it does. And thankfully, they're each getting medical care, and it's keeping them healthy. They're living their lives, they have fun, they pursue their dreams, they have relationships, they're careful not to pass it on to other people. And they're proof that HIV/AIDS doesn't have to be a death sentence if you know your status. Now, it's not shocking that HIV/AIDS has impacted my life and people I love. This disease is the worst health crisis in modern history. It is a silent killer because we do not talk about it. Negative or positive, we're all living with AIDS. It's a part of our world. Chances are you know someone who has the disease, though they might not have told you. And there's a good possibility they don't know themselves because 1 out of every 5 people who's infected doesn't even know it. And too often people only find out once they're dangerously ill. But it doesn't have to be that way. See, AIDS is a disease that can be prevented. It can be treated. Free HIV testing is available everywhere. Most likely it's available on this campus. I haven't checked. But we can all make these simple actions. We can take simple actions that can save lives. We can save our own lives, lives of people we love, and human beings far away. But why don't we? See, most of my life I've volunteered, as you heard, with Artists for New South Africa. And I've gone into classrooms, conducted seminars on HIV/AIDS, taken part in press conferences, recorded public service announcements, raised money, spoken to thousands, as you heard, in the United States, Botswana, Swaziland, South Africa, in an effort to empower them to join the fight against HIV/AIDS. But regardless of the country, what frustrates me most is the lack of informative dialogue within our community, within our churches, within our homes, within our schools. And that very silence is killing us. But the silence can be broken if we just begin to speak and talk about it. So why don't we? Now, I've never known a world that was free of HIV/AIDS. And when the generation turns to me and asks, all right, Journey, now, what were you doing while HIV/AIDS was ravaging our world? I want to be able to respond and say, I was helping to fight the pandemic. I did my part. So why don't we? Why has our community grown so desensitized? Why is it easy to raise money for HIV/AIDS 5-10 years ago, and it's virtually impossible now? Why was every celebrity so eager to do free concerts and fundraisers for my friend Haidia Broadbent when she was 5 years old? And yet, now that she's 30 years old, she cannot get one of them on the phone today. Why do we as a society only pay attention to HIV/AIDS on World AIDS Day? What is it about us as a society that makes it so difficult for us to stay engaged? Do we really have this short of an attention span? And what do we need to do to harness real change? You know, I remember recently being invited by Trayvon Martin's parents to speak at a rally in Los Angeles. This past summer, me and my husband went. And the rally was to protest the year anniversary of George Zimmerman being acquitted for his crimes against their son. It took place at Crenshaw High School in the auditorium, and there was a decent turnout. I mean, nothing to brag about. And I remember thinking, wow, what a difference a year makes. When all of this was happening in 2013, thousands of people would show up to any rally that Trayvon Martin's parents would organize. I mean, the basketball players were putting the hoodies on. We were all posting about it on our Instagram accounts. I mean, the media, when they covered this event this past summer, they weren't talking about the mission of Trayvon Martin's parents, their desire to stop the Stand Your Ground laws nationwide, their desire to end gun violence. No, all the media could focus on was the fact that Kobe Bryant showed up to the press conference and surprised the crowd. I mean, it's cool that Kobe Bryant showed up. Look, I was excited. My husband was really excited. But what a difference a year makes. And what is sad to me is that oftentimes these causes that we are so passionate about, they just fade away and become fads. They become trendy, the trendy thing to talk about, the trendy thing to feel empathy about, to post about on our social media platforms. We as a society sometimes only pay attention to fads for a short amount of time, though, because what happens to a fad? It goes out of style. I might wear a hat one day because it's a fad. Maybe in a few months, I'm going to throw that hat into the Salvation Army. Because it what? It went out of style. Now, look, I don't mean to be harsh in making this comparison, but I watch it happen all the time. And it just breaks my heart because the need doesn't go away. But we as a society just stop caring and we move on to the next cause. And nothing ever gets solved. See, sometimes it feels as if we never find a true solution to these issues. But why is that? Because we stop caring. We stop caring. The media no longer has to cover it because we stop caring. The Instagram posts end, the Twitter hashtags stop, the Facebook links aren't uploaded anymore. The dialogue ends. We stop caring. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that history will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. The appalling silence of the good people who stopped caring. Now, how many Michael Browns, Trayvon Martins, Oscar Grants, Jordan Davis, or Eric Garners is it going to take for us to grab our attention permanently? What is it going to take? I mean, we're in a very exciting time. I'm so proud of my young people, the young men and women who have been protesting and marching and making a noise around the country. But what can we do to harness real change? I mean, how can we really keep Dr. King's dream alive? And how can we accomplish something so monumental and great like the leaders of the past? You know, I grew up hearing stories of when my parents worked with Angela Davis and the Young Workers League. My mom would brag, you know. She would tell these stories of how she witnessed Angela conduct press conferences and how she would command the room with her big afro. Speaking to every reporter in their native tongue, my mom would talk about how she could switch from German to French to Spanish just on a dime. You know, my mom was in awe, still to this day when she talks about her. And I would hear my parents tell these stories about the movement and all the great work they had done. And there was a part of me, you know, honestly, that was a little bit envious of that era. Trust me, not that I want to go back there, because I certainly do not. But, you know, I would just look at them and think, man, y'all had leaders, though. I mean, you had Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Rosa Parks, JFK, Bobby Kennedy, Angela Davis. These were great people. So, of course, y'all had a movement. Y'all had great leaders. And how are we ever going to live up to what was once accomplished? I mean, not to mention all the unsung heroes. The Diane Nash, the James Farmer Jr., the Marion Wright Edelman, the Ahmed Kathrada. I mean, see, we know Dr. King. He got his own holiday. We know Nelson Mandela, but we don't always know the names of the countless people who assisted in the fight. And there were thousands of men and women of every color, every religion, that were responsible for the success of the civil rights movement. There were many keepers of the dream. And the dream wasn't just kept here in America. It was kept in India, in Ireland, South Africa, all over the world. Has anyone here ever heard the name Ahmed Kathrada? Of course not. He is a South African anti-apartheid activist and one of Nelson Mandela's closest comrades. He's of Indian descent and spent 27 years in his life imprisoned on Robben Island with Mandela. See, he was one of the ones who was imprisoned as well for the crimes committed. And he spent 27 years of his life to fight anti-apartheid. He was in prison for 27 years, y'all. That's my entire life. I mean, people lovingly refer to him as the Indian Mandela. I call him Kathy. He's like my South African father. And he's a riot to be around. I mean, just a beautiful spirit, a gentle giant. And his humility would belie any depth to which he's experienced life. I mean, Kathy captured my heart the first time I met him in Los Angeles. He was traveling, and he spoke there. And we bonded over ice cream. You know, we went out to eat ice cream afterwards. And we were debating which new flavor should be invented. We were like, you know, should it be like a Krispy Kreme flavor with some glazed ice cream invented? Should there be a strawberry pecan maybe invented? We would just have these really stupid debates. And I traveled outside of North America for the first time when I was 20 years old on a delegation with my organization, Artists for New South Africa. And Kathy took me and all of us to Robben Island. Robben Island was the island where Nelson Mandela and his comrades were imprisoned in South Africa. And when I was standing in the prison's cold cafeteria surrounded by endless gray walls, I just listened to Kathy talk about the 27 years that he endured and the mental battles he fought daily, and which prison guard attempted to break his spirit, and how he would decorate his prison cell with wrapping paper because he was just so tired of that endless gray wall. And my heart wept for him, for all the moments that he was robbed of eating ice cream with a daughter. You see, he went 27 years without being able to hold a baby. I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't fathom that. Because the very freedom that I'd been afforded, he'd been denied. Now, how different his life would have been if he just sat out. If he would have just said, you know, I'm good. Y'all go on. Y'all go do that cause. That anti-apartheid thing, I respect it. I support you, but I'm not going to get involved. How different his life would have been. He wouldn't have missed out on his daughter's childhood. He would have enjoyed many more moments. But maybe, just maybe, South Africa wouldn't be the free country that it is now. You see, he taught me an invaluable lesson, that one must never quit. Because in the moment you quit, that could have been the very opportunity for you to triumph over tragedy. It took them in South Africa 27 years in prison before they could reap the fruit of their hard work. I mean, through their efforts, Mandela went from being a prisoner to becoming president. How many prisoners we know are going to become president? I mean, they were proof that greatness is not just reserved for the history books. Mandela, Kathy, Dr. King, these were extraordinary individuals. But you know what? One thing I learned when I met Kathy, when I met Mandela had these little moles, these freckles on his face, and his eyes were damaged from the sun. He had been working in lime fields most of his time at the prison. And his sight was damaged, and his pupils were kind of gray. And when I held his hand, I just looked at him and I thought, oh, you're a man. You're flesh and blood. His hand was so warm and like kind of clammy. And I just realized in that moment, these are human beings. They're not gods. They're not the Messiah. They were flesh and blood, just like you and me. They were ordinary people that accomplished extraordinary things. I mean, they weren't aware of the fact that they were accomplishing the extraordinary. They were just following what they felt called to do. See, we often forget, and we place these people on this pedestal. So I challenge us today to take our leaders off the pedestal, because we are only we're only hurting ourselves. We're only doing harm to ourselves. We're placing what they did so far up in the sky that we feel we could never achieve what they did. I want us to take them down. You see, history has a way of rewriting truth. When we glorify these individuals and make them godlike, as if they were these fearless superheroes. No, they were not fearless. They weren't without fear. They were very afraid. But they had the courage to do what they were afraid of, simply because it was right. They were not men and women that sought glory. They were men and women that wanted glory for the next generation. They were men and women that saw the next generation as one people, not as races. Instead of placing our leaders on such high pedestals, we should realize that our leaders work to make themselves stepping stones for us so that we could keep the dream alive. Dr. King's dream was to make the next generation better than the previous. Dr. King's dream was to see us all living in a world where we were all equal. Dr. King's dream was for us to all understand each other, regardless of our religion, regardless of our gender, regardless of our sexual orientation, our background, our race, our creed. That was his dream. His dream was of seeing a world in which we all could just be free at last. So what do we do to harness real change? Well, that's going to be up to you, to me, to all of us in this room. And you 5 students, you were selected today because you are the leaders of the future. I see it. You have greatness written all over you. And I applaud you for that. And I believe in you. I so believe in you. Because you know what? I see that you believe in the fierce urgency of now. You believe that our work cannot wait. That's why you are a keeper of the dream. You believe in a future in which we all live as one people, that we all can be free and equal. That's why you are keepers of the dream. So I challenge you, continue to be a vessel in which you broaden society's definition of who we are as young people. I challenge you to dream. I challenge you to dream big. I challenge you to take whatever gifts you were given and use them for a mighty purpose, be it in nursing, social work, engineering, history, biomedical science, or in my case, acting. It is our duty to be used for a mighty purpose. And in those moments when you want to give up or you want to give in to self-doubt, I challenge you, as the old Chinese proverb says, to watch your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words. Watch your words because your words become your actions. Watch your actions because your actions become your habits. Watch your habits because your habits become your character. Watch your character because your character determines your destiny. And we need you. We need you. You have a beautiful, mighty destiny. And if we all were put here on earth for a reason, which I believe we were, and if there's a calling on each of our lives, which I believe there is, then it is our duty to be obedient to that calling. You see, the true definition, as my father in love says, of obedience, the true definition of obedience is execution to the very end. We cannot wait. We cannot falter. We cannot quit. We don't have the luxury of stop caring because the next generation's counting on us. That little girl, she's counting on you. And we were made for greatness. Thus, we must execute that greatness until the very end. Bless you all. Thank you for listening to me.
We want to thank Journey for being here with us for the 23rd Annual Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award celebration. 22 years now we've done this. I've been here for all of them. Can you believe that? Been here for all 22 of them. And so, how many first timers here? Did you enjoy yourself today? Okay. So we have time for questions. So those of you who are first timers, you had a card placed on your chair. And what we do during this time, for those of you who have been here for 22 years like myself, you'll take that card and hold it up. If you have it, you're going to write a question down. Journey is going to take some time to answer a few questions. So if the staff who is working, if you could collect those cards, we'll begin the Q&A. I see some hands going up in the back. The ladies are on the sides. Please pass those questions forward or to the aisle. If you can bring some of them up, I'll go ahead and get started.
Hey, y'all, they can be about anything.
She said that they can be about anything.
It doesn't have to be as serious as activism, but it would be nice. But it really can be about anything.
Okay, so did the church have an impact on your values, morals, humanitarianism?
Certainly. You know, I had a very interesting upbringing, though. I mean, my father's Jewish and my mom's Christian. So I was raised more so with my mom's influence, but my dad's as well, to, of course, believe, you know, that we are supposed to be Christ-like in the sense that even, you know, regardless of your race or your religion, you know, one cannot deny that he was a man who expressed this eternal love for his fellow human being. And so I try, you know, I ain't perfect, y'all, so don't hold me to it. But I try to walk in that light. I try to be my best self. So yes, of course, it did have a big impact on my morals and values.
This is a question about balance. It says, how do you balance all that you are involved in, the HIV work, your career, and your lovely marriage?
Y'all, that is the question of the day. I don't know, you know, I mean, I recently had a major tragedy in my family. We lost my father last week. And there was a moment where I just was like, okay, God, I don't know how much more I can handle, how much more I can take. And, you know, my siblings and I are so close, and we all rallied together, and my husband and my in-laws, everyone did what they could. But, you know, your work doesn't stop. The very next day after the funeral, I had to go and work. And I just was like, really? The world can't just stop? You know, just give me one moment? But you know, life is so short, and I was put here to work. I was put here to fulfill my calling. And so I try to get as much sleep as I can because I like sleep. I love sleep. But you know, I just try to do my best. That's all I can do, is just to try to do my best in balancing it all. But I'm a Libra, so I need balance. You're Libra? Libra, rock.
The next question, your brother is in Empire.
I knew that was going to come up.
Are you and him close?
Huh?
It says, your brother is in Empire, are you and him
Oh my gosh,
close?
I love Jussie. He's amazing. Yes, y'all. If y'all do not watch Empire, it comes on Wednesdays on Fox. And my brother Jussie Smollett plays Jamal, the singer.
Oh.
Isn't he so cute? He's my older brother, but I treat him like he's my younger brother. I'm like, you know, Jussie, now watch out for all these demons out there. We're so close. My siblings and I are so close. It's really the greatest gift my parents gave us was each other, really. I mean, we are so close. So, yes.
Okay, the next question, you said everything, right? So it says, can you add me on Instagram?
Did you add me? I'm Journey Bell. No. You did, girl? Okay. Oh, okay. Well, leave me a comment, and I'm going to have to add you. I mean, if you leave me a comment, I'm going to try.
How do you stay motivated and pick yourself back up each day after Hollywood puts you down?
I'm blessed. I have amazing people in my life. My hubby, Josiah. We've been married 4 years, and really, it's been the greatest blessing of my life. So first and foremost, he helps me. He picks me up. But really, we try to pray. We have spiritual parents. We really try to keep God in our foundation. And really, I sometimes feel like God just gives me a supernatural strength. He really does. And in moments where I'm just like, where'd that come?
Okay, speaking of your husband, how did the two of you meet?
Oh, well, I could talk about this all day. We were best friends. Oh my gosh. We met because of Roll Bounce. I worked with a guy in the film called Brandon T. Jackson. And Brandon and Josiah grew up here in Detroit. And Brandon was in New York. I was in New York one day. And we ran into each other. And he said, oh, my gosh. This was like 10 years ago. He's like, oh, my gosh, I'm going to meet up with a friend of mine. My husband's a producer. And he's like, my boy is producing this album. He's at the studio. Let's go meet up with him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, Brandon. And it was Josiah. And he was the first guy that hadn't tried to, hit on me, and run game on me. Like, he did not have that interest initially at all. And so I felt comfortable with him. And he became like my fifth brother almost. Not really. But no, I take that back. That analogy was wrong. But he and I became close friends. I mean, he would talk to me about girls he was dating. I would talk to him about guys I was dating. And he knew everything about me. And then it switched 6 years ago. And we started dating. And then I was like, yep, I'm good.
How did you connect in the film Temptation so deeply?
That film was challenging. We shot it so fast. And with anything, you try to really work it through and stuff like that. But, I just try to imagine what it would be like to be in an unhappy marriage, because I'm not. No, but, I tried to do research. I tried to interview other married couples. And, with any role, there's things that you're like and there's things that you're not. And so you have to use your imagination to really stretch, to try to feel that character and what it would be like to go through that. So that's what I did.
What's your favorite aspect of being an actress?
My favorite aspect of being an actress is losing myself in a role. I mean, there's certain moments, it's kind of like a high where you're just stimulated, where you forget that you're your own self. And it's a really hard thing to explain, to put into words. But there really is a high that you can achieve once in a while as an actor, where you're channeling this person's experience. And through that, oddly enough, you learn a lot about yourself. So that's one of my favorite things about being an actress.
What can we as a community do to continue fighting for change on behalf of those lost to racism and police brutality?
I think we have to use our voices. I mean, we've seen the amazing work that people have been doing recently with these demonstrations and protests, but those demonstrations and protests have to now turn into something tangible. We have to petition our government to do something. And we cannot, honestly, I don't want us to make the police the bad guys, because there are a lot of amazing men and women who are willing to give their lives and do things that many of us in this room would not be willing to do. But there is a systematic problem that is not being addressed, and it's not being fixed. And it comes from the top. It really does. And the training is not happening. The mental training is not happening. There's a system that's broken. And I think we have to continue to use our voices and not let up until we see real tangible change.
What was your favorite thing about working on True Bloods?
You would walk on the set and people would just be filled with blood. I mean, the fake blood, I just got a kick out of it. You know, they would just be eating their lunch, just bloody. Blood coming out their mouth. These vampires with these, like, teeth and stuff. That's what I loved so much, was the special effects, the makeup. It just was quacky and weird, and I loved it.
What do you think the significance of labels are, such as nationality and party affiliation?
You know, it's tricky, because I do believe we have to own our identity. I do believe we have to embrace who we are as, you know, African Americans, or Native Americans, whatever our background, our culture is. But I would personally love to see a world where we don't have to have labels. Wouldn't it be so freeing? Wouldn't it just be so freeing? That's the dream.
This is from our award recipient, Chanel. She says, can we be activist friends?
Yes, I would love to. I would love to.
Next one says, did you connect with your grandmother? Did you ever connect with your grandmother?
Yes, you know, fortunately, as the years went on, we have been able to reconnect. You know, but most of my childhood I grew up without her, unfortunately. And as I grew up, I did learn that the story was more complex. You couldn't really just call her a racist. She eventually remarried, and she was with a man who was actually a racist. And she made a choice. And for her values and morals were not as important as her life and her living and the security he provided for her. Now, while I would never have made that choice, it makes me understand that sometimes things are not as black and white as we try to paint them as being. So yes, we have. I mean, even last year we went and stayed with her, and she's still alive. And, you know, we're working on our relationship, and I've forgiven her, and my family has as well.
All right, we have time for one more question. And the question is, I watched you grow from an adorable child to a beautiful young woman. Any plans to start a family soon?
Josiah, you want to answer? No. Soon is the question. I mean, of course, I come from a big family, so I do want to have children. We love children. Right now we have so many amazing nieces and nephews on my husband's side. I have a new niece on my side. She's so cute. She's just like got the big cheeks. Her name is Nyla, and I'm so in love. So right now we're practicing on them. But yeah, we'll see. When it's right, when God plans it.
All right, and this is not a question but a comment, and it says, thank you for all your hard work and coming out here to show your support for these students.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Let's once again thank Journey. Journey, on behalf of the students, faculty, and staff at Oakland University, we're deeply grateful for your time here with us today. Thank you, everyone, for supporting Oakland University's Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award celebration. Through your presence here today, your scholarship gifts, and all that you do to continue the journey that Dr. King began, It's an honor for me to be a part of this event and its ever-growing legacy.